Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're diving straight into a profoundly moving piece of music. We are unpacking track 11 titled DemEyes from the album Recollections of Introspection. And look, this isn't just your standard album filler. It is a deeply personal, totally unfiltered message written specifically for two guys, Xavier and Zayden. Throughout this explainer, we're going to break down the lyrics, unpack the metaphors, and dig into the profound life lessons buried within this incredibly heavy confessional track.
We kick things off with these absolutely haunting intro vocals from Jelly Roll. Talk about setting the stage for an intense, vulnerable journey, right? The lyrics here don't hide behind any clever metaphors. It's just a desperate, direct plea. The artist is literally pointing the finger at himself as his own worst enemy. By opening with these borrowed vocals, the track immediately establishes this tone of profound inner conflict, basically prepping the listener, and more specifically his sons, for a brutally honest confession about the realities of his life.
So, how do I keep my smile alive? That question right there is the beating heart of this entire track. Today we're exploring exactly how the artist answers this by transforming profound personal struggle into lasting wisdom for his kids. The narrator we're dealing with has clearly been through the ringer, surviving some major trauma. Yet the whole point of this track is to synthesize that pain into something constructive. It's honestly a masterclass in narrative alchemy, taking the absolute darkest parts of your existence and using them to light the way for the next generation.
Which brings us to introspection. This concept is the core theme of the whole album, and it demands a completely fearless self-audit. The artist is doing the incredibly heavy lifting of observing his own fractured mental and emotional processes and then laying them all out for his sons to study. You know, it's not just a simple recounting of events, it's a deep psychological dive into why he made the choices he made. It serves as both a confession and a pretty stark cautionary tale.
Section 1. Living in Hell, the Internal Battle.
The lyrics here hold absolutely nothing back. They directly address a lifestyle that was obviously terrible for his health, but honestly, it served as his only coping mechanism. He explicitly states that while others might sit back and judge the way he lived, to him it was literally the only thing that seemed to help numb the pain of living in hell. And to be clear, the artist isn't glorifying his destructive habits, not at all. Instead, he's explaining the sheer desperation behind them. He's giving his sons context so they can truly understand the heavy gravity of his mental health struggles.
Flirting with death. That phrase perfectly captures the terrifying nonchalance of surviving drug addiction and homelessness. The source text gives us this incredibly vivid imagery: batting eyelashes, blowing kisses, and literally winking at his own demise. It's a poetic, almost theatrical way of describing severe trauma. The mental toll of this lifestyle was so extreme that flirting with death just became a casual, everyday reality for him. It really highlights exactly how close to the edge he was actually living.
And all of that extreme trauma creates a profound duality. There's a direct contrast here between having hate in my heart and love on my mind. It just perfectly encapsulates the human condition under extreme stress. The world and all of his harsh experiences have filled his heart with bitterness and pain, but his conscious mind, his overarching goal, is entirely driven by the love he has for his children. It's this exact duality that actually gives him the strength to carry on and fake a smile, even while he's being torn apart inside.
Moving on to Section 2, My Demise, A Final Rest.
This is where things get fascinating. We get a highly unique request for both physical and spiritual revival, accompanied by this striking imagery of crackling crimson lightning. He explicitly asks his loved ones not to be sorrowful, not to mourn him, but to actually celebrate that he finally gets to rest. The visual of being placed in a pot plant to revive, combined with a sky just thundering with crimson lightning as his soul is taken from this troubled life, it's incredibly powerful. It completely flips the narrative of death from a finite, dark end beneath the ground into a vibrant, ongoing cycle of life and energy. With those familiar echoes of Linkin Park fading in the background, he makes a desperate plea to his sons to forget the wrongs, let go of resentment, and remember only the love. He directly references that famous Linkin Park lyric, using it as a profound emotional anchor. Look, the father knows he's made mistakes. He knows he's done wrong. But his deepest wish whenever they feel empty is that they filter out the bad and just hold on to the reasons he should be missed. He's practically begging for grace from the two people whose opinions matter to him the absolute most. Which leads us right into Section 3, Knowledge from Failing, the Purpose of Pain. The artist explicitly states that if nothing ever goes wrong, it's literally impossible to acquire the knowledge you need to correct your path in life. He poses a brilliant rhetorical question: how do you expect to learn if all is perfect? It's such a powerful reframe. Every single failure is simply a data point,
It's another victory on your belt because it's the only way to guarantee you won't fail that same way again. He is actively, intentionally teaching his sons to strip all the shame away from failure.
And that brings us to his core philosophy on resilience. He teaches that it is perfectly acceptable to fall down 100 times. 100. Falling is just a natural, unavoidable part of shuffling the cards and playing the hand you were dealt. Now, the number 100 here represents what feels like an insurmountable amount of defeat. But the artist's message is crystal clear. The falling down isn't what defines you. Honestly, the falling down doesn't even matter.
Because ultimately, as long as you get up 101 times, that is how true winning is done. It's a simple mathematical truth applied to human endurance. The effort to rise simply has to outnumber the instances of falling by exactly 1. He's telling them, yeah, I failed, but I never gave up trying to be the best for you, to show you to never settle for less. This right here is the ultimate blueprint for resilience he's handing down.
Section 4. Messages to my kids. Final advice.
This track serves as a deliberate time capsule. He's bleeding out his pain so his sons do not have to follow in those same agonizing footsteps. The artist explicitly says he doesn't make this music for a general audience. He puts his pain on display so that his path serves as a giant warning sign. He wants his boys to be able to look back, recollect exactly where they came from, stay humble, and ultimately survive this world without having to endure the same heartbreaking struggles he did. He gives them this amazing numbered list of 6 life lessons. He tells them to trust their instincts, especially when everyone else is against them. He says to break rules, but to do it with purpose, not just to misbehave. And then my favorite part, we hit an X instead of the number 4. It's a brilliant structural choice that literally crosses out fear. It conceptually emphasizes that fear of failing is the only thing that will actually hold you back in life. He wraps it up by reminding them to always get back up, appreciate the simple things, find love, and just know peace.
But before we wrap up, the outro hits us with this heartbreaking wave of vulnerability, reminding us that despite passing on all this beautiful wisdom, the artist's internal battle is still painfully real. Just as the song opened with Jelly Roll's vocals, it closes with them. The father just delivered this incredibly inspiring, empowering advice to his sons, and yet he still views himself as a lost cause, damaged beyond repair. It's a jarring reminder that imparting wisdom to others doesn't just magically cure your own deep-seated trauma. The sacrifice here is profound, guys. He's accepting his own shattered dreams so that his sons might actually build their own.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to reflect on how these deeply personal struggles and the ultimate triumphs challenge all of us to consider the impact we leave on the next generation. This source text isn't just about one man's pain. It's a mirror asking us how we process our own failures. Do we let our mistakes bury us, or do we use them to build a roadmap for those who come after us? If a lifetime of darkness can be channeled into a blindingly clear beacon of love and guidance for Xavier and Zayden, we have to ask ourselves, how do we learn if all is perfect? Well, we don't. We learn from our fractures. So when your time comes, how will you use your imperfections, and what legacy will you leave behind?